Good day, everyone. This is Rahul Reddy. I am the city head for Career Launcher Bangalore. We have with us Anirud Raghav, CLAT 2022, All India rank holder 24. Let me also specify or ask him what the Karnataka state rank is.
Uh, I'm not precisely sure of the answer, but I'd speculate it's six.
Okay, right. Okay, so you were not a Karnataka domicile student as such.
No, I wasn't.
I remember that we had
Yeah.
spoken about that. Good. Right. So results came out at what, Friday night?
Yes, sir.
So you were expecting it and constantly checking the website.
No, sir. Actually, I was completely oblivious to the fact that it would appear on
Okay.
Friday night. In fact, I was
Okay.
anticipating that 25th would be the date.
Okay.
So I was just in the middle of some relaxation while I got a notification on Telegram saying that the results were out, and
Okay.
yeah, that's how I got it.
Okay. Great. And what was the first reaction?
Uh, to be honest, I was uncharacteristically phlegmatic. I was not overwhelmed as would be the normal response, but I think big news has its way of getting to you.
Okay. And how did your parents and others in the family react?
Yes, all of them were utterly and completely delighted.
Great. So uh, let's talk about when did you decide to take up law as a career, and what were the key influences that led you to take such a decision?
So this was a story that began in the ninth grade, where a friend persuaded me to partake in a Model United Nations conference. So from there on, I developed quite a fascination for the entire idea of law and precise drafting, and all of that culminated in my decision to take up law. So I became a regular manna, and I started reading many books. One book in particular I read was this book called The Courtroom Genius about Nani Palkhiwala, and that had a very inspiring influence.
Great. And okay, so when did you start with us at Career Launcher?
That would be the beginning of 11th grade.
Okay. And about the experience with Career Launcher?
Yes, sir. The mocks were always up to the mark. I think that Career Launcher provided me with more than sufficient material to be able to attack the paper in a satisfactory manner. So, kudos to Career Launcher for this experience.
Any people that you remember from this preparation experience?
Uh, Faculty wise or compatriots also?
Anybody who's there to support?
Sir, so primarily it would be Animesh, sir. He taught us current affairs as well as legal, and he was there to pick up the call whenever we had any kind of problem. And he was almost like a personal mentor to us, and that was absolutely munificent and generous of him. And as for others, I had a study group involving a person called Prem and Kedar. And Prem got All India rank 16 and Kedar got All India rank 143 with domicile. So I guess we're going to convoke it at law school next. So yeah,
Yes, Kedar,
primarily.
I think is ranked 12 Karnataka, so without any
Right.
problem, you get into NLS. So that's
Yeah.
there. Right. Good. So let's tell me a little more about how this study group worked. How is it really helpful, or would you advise other aspirants to also form such groups?
Yes, sir. So I have encountered a few people um, from whose insights I inferred that it's not necessary to have a study group, but it's absolutely imperative given the conducive conditions. That is to say that the first precondition for forming a study group is that, and I can't stress this enough, the people in your study group have to be absolutely trustworthy, right? You need to be able to trust them with all your heart. So that's definitely one thing. But as to the primary aspect of how this entire thing worked, so we initially formed the group for the purposes of GK, right? So all of us initially started the group, and we tried to systematize the group, right? In accordance with GK needs. So we had like an array of topics of sources, right? So we had Drishti, we had the CL Manthan, and we had a few other online sites like GK Today and IAS Baba, right? And so we would distribute these sites to one of the persons in the group, and they would be responsible for updating the short notes and the important points about each of the topics that present themselves as important as and when they come in a platform called Evernote. So ultimately, we ended up with about 1,400 pages worth of GK, from which sadly we could get only like 4 to 5 marks at best. But it supplied us with the adequate confidence to take the paper head on. So that's the material aspect of our group. But another thing is during the fag end of the preparation, it served as instrumentally useful in that it helped us quiz each other, right? And I think quizzing is a great way of testing your retention, right? And it's also an oft recommended technique. But otherwise, another very important aspect of our study group was that we performed analysis together, right? So while performing analysis of your own could also be sufficient given the right conditions, I think analyzing with competent peer group helps you garner insights from other people as well, which tends to be very useful.
So let's focus a little bit on the mental aspect of the preparation. So, are there times where it is stressful? Is it time when you feel a little demotivated? And then, how do you cope with these kind of scenarios?
Yes. So I think most people who embark on this journey to attempt CLAT tend to encounter these demotivating scenarios one time or another. And how I encountered them was okay. So, firstly, during during September and the months that followed, especially during the fag end of the preparation, starting January, February, I used to be excessively concerned about my scores plateauing. Right. So initially it started in the 70s and then it went to 80s, then 90s, and I was hovering under near the hundreds for the longest time. Right. And my percentile was also quite unpromising. So, how I dealt with it was I fortunately had a very avuncular and supportive study group, right? So, I think a study group could also be instrumental in helping you tackling the mentally trying aspect of CLAT. And the other way that I coped with this was trying something new, right? So, I would perform analysis of my mocks, right? And especially with the help of drill down analysis, that was very helpful, right? So when I performed an analysis of that mock, whenever I perform an analysis of any mock, I get a kind of internal satisfaction that I have vivisected the paper enough, and now I have identified what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are. So I play to my strengths and I try to remedy my weaknesses. That's how I went about it, right? And I was interacting with Animesh sir once, and he told us about this one particular custom in NLS, right? Where if something goes right, they read articles. If something goes wrong, they read even more articles, right? So it's that kind of a thing. So actually, failing made me want to work harder. So I'd advise you to make sure that your not getting satisfactory scores should not detract from your motivation to do this.
Wonderful. I think this is a story that a lot of the toppers keep reiterating, that somewhere in this long journey, it's a marathon. There will be time where you'll feel that progress is not satisfactory or there's a dip in performance. I think holding on and making sure you are motivated. And yes, as you said, support group helps. For those who are non-CL system, just to explain, the drill down analysis is a way, is a tool on the website which allows you to look at subject area, sub area, type of question wise performance, so that you know exactly where you are good and where you are not very good. Great. So coming back to the day of CAT, okay, so uh, how was the state of anxiety or nervousness, or were you really calm?
Sir, so one of the things I plume myself on is that I tend to be equanimous when it comes to trying situations. right? And I attribute that once again to months. So it helped me garner confidence. But ultimately, on the day of CLAT, I went in with the most smug and arrogant attitude possible. I said to myself, I'm going to absolutely destroy this. I've done everything that's humanly possible. So I think, as one of my friends told me, 90% of CLAT is just a psychological game. And if you're able to dethrone that successfully, you're already halfway there. So I had no jitters, right? And I also kept giving myself pep talks. So it was very helpful. So when I entered the exam hall, I was already confident, right? But the more important aspect of it was that, uh, in the past, in the few mocks preceding CLAT, I hadn't gotten the most ideal percentiles. So because of that, it helped me come to terms with a few things. And one of the things was that, I I resigned to an attitude of self belief. So I told myself that regardless of whether I graduate from NLS or Nalsar or NLUD or even Jodhpur or Bihar or wherever for that matter, I had the trust in my faculty to emerge as a good lawyer no matter where I went, right? So where I had come to terms with myself, in that manner of affirmative resignation, nothing could hold me back anymore. So when I went to attempt CLAT on the day of the paper, I told myself none of this is going to matter in the long run. I may lose the battle, but I'll win the war. So that's the kind of attitude.
Wonderful. So, age old wisdom kind of repackaged. So, where I think the focus is on the effort and the work, the journey, and not really about, what you will get as a reward. Good. So, thank you very much, Anirudh, for sharing your wisdom. Uh, so, may all your goals and aspirations come true. And don't forget to enjoy the next 5 years at NLS and along
Definitely,
with your friends.
sir. Definitely, sir.